So I grew up in Hollis, Queens, suburb of New York City, and it was a lower middle class area. It was a great time, you know, when kids just would go outside and play on the block and play stickball.
As a child, he was very curious in a very good way.
In school, when I was in the first grade, I would go and find pencils, and I would scrape the paint off the pencils and paint the names of the prettiest girls in school on the pencils and go and sell it to the guys in school. But then I found out that the girls would pay 2 times the amount of money for the same exact pencils with their names on it. So I started selling the pencils to the girls.
I sent him to camp a couple of years. I think he was 15, 16, something like that. So I told him whatever money he could save up, I would match it so that he could buy a car. He came back from camp with $800. He would sell his sneakers, tell me, Mom, send me some more snacks. He was always about business.
Around 1984 to 1986, the community got divided.
Crack is to cocaine what an atom bomb is to a regular bomb.
Crack came into the community, and the only people that we could look up to were the big drug dealers. It got so bad in my neighborhood that a cop named Edward Burns was protecting a witness for a trial, and the drug dealers in my neighborhood would go and assassinate him.
Gunman killed him with 3 shotgun blasts early Friday.
I had to figure out another way to keep him busy all the time so that he wouldn't get involved in these drugs.
Most of my friends would go over to this part of our community and want to aspire to be these drug dealers, and many of my friends were dead or in jail at the age of 16 and 17. I was losing a friend every 3 months.
I'm DMC, in a place to be. I go to St. John's University.
But then all of a sudden we started to see, you know, these music artists driving by in the same neighborhood. They were just as wealthy or even more wealthy than these crack dealers, but they were selling music. It was LL Cool J, Run DMC, Salt and Pepper, Tribe Called Quest, Ja Rule. All of them are from Hollis, Queens. And I realized at that time, wait a minute, I can make money doing something I love, and I just wanted to be part of it. Hip-hop was this voice of the streets, and it was our version of today's Instagram or Twitter. And the kids were communicating through this music about their love, their hopes, their dreams, their aspirations.
We lived on a main street, Farmers Boulevard, and him and his friends would dance in the street when certain cars would pass.
Of course, Run DMC was gonna pull over and go, wait a minute, I've been waiting for a dancer like you for all my life. Come on tour with me. That didn't happen.
He was a hip-hop kid, wore the clothes that the hip-hop generation wore.
During the time that rap started to really emerge, I would wear Reebok shoes, Fila. The Lees and Levi's, we would have to, if you had any money, you can go to the dry cleaner and get the tailor to put a permanent crease all the way down.
The idea with hip hop is to, you know, show out and be seen. And you want to stand out in the crowd. So how do you do that? Well, you have to put your own spin on things. In hip hop, there's a lot of remix or sampling. Fashion is the same. So we took the brands that existed in those days and times and gave it our own spin.
I saw this tie top hat, and I couldn't find it anywhere in Manhattan.
He goes uptown and he brings back this ugly looking hat. It looked like a stocking cap.
Ma, look at this hat. I paid $20 for the hat, $6 in gas, and $37 in tolls.
I says, for that? Those aren't the words I used.
She said, go to the store, get $40 worth of fabric, you come back. I'm gonna show you how to sew hats just like that. So I would go out and stand on the corner of the Coliseum Mall on 165th Street in Jamaica, Queens on Good Friday, 1989 at 3 o'clock, and it was 42 degrees outside. And I would sell $800 worth of hats in 1 hour.
Damon found a way to affordably make the hat and make a profit, which quickly showed him that there was a market, there was a need, and a customer.
That would turn my life from black and white into Technicolor. The concept of FUBU started materializing because we had heard that a boot company had said that we don't make our boots for drug dealers, and I just got pissed off. You just called me a drug dealer, and I'm a hardworking man at Red Lobster.
We were all sitting in Damon's house just hanging out, and someone picked up the newspaper and saw it, and we were like, wow, why is it that every time a company starts to blow up and get rich off our back, then they want to turn around and say, we don't want you wearing our stuff.
Timberland must have thought that everybody in Jamaica, Queens were construction workers or mountain climbers.
For Damon, it was about how do I create a brand that young people, that African American youth can relate to and aspire, be proud of, because these brands prior to mine were not specifically catering to the urban youth.
But I came up with FUBU. For us, by us.
So there was a tremendous void in opportunities that these new entrepreneurs quickly saw and seized that moment.
I would get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I would deliver or as many hats as I could or t-shirts. I probably would need to get to Red Lobster about 2 o'clock. I would then come home and sew the labels on things or whatever until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
One of his partners, J. Alexander Martin, who had attended FIT, had learned about the magic show while being a college student. And he told Damon that that was something they needed to participate in.
It's not pulling rabbits out of hats, it's Men's Apparel Guild in California. It's held in Nevada, don't ask me why. And this is where all the stores will go and buy all the products that you end up seeing in the stores.
Damon and the FUBU guys didn't have the budget to be able to create a full-fledged exhibition at the magic show. They rented a suite at the Mirage Hotel in Las Vegas to show their apparel. And they would invite retailers to come and purchase goods.
Now, at that time, at the trade show, there were no African Americans. So it was pretty easy for the security to spot the 6 guys walking around with afros talking about, I got some FUBU back in my hotel.
They were able to write up $300,000 in orders.
Oh yeah, that was on, baby, it's on. And then Damon turns around and says, but I don't have no money to make $300,000 worth of goods.
I'd come on to my mother defeated and say I got turned down by 27 banks. And my mother would go, why don't we take all the money we can out of this house? You get the clothes made. Then you'll get the $300,000, you'll put the money back into the house and we'll be okay. And my mother goes out and gets a $100,000 loan.
We were on 42nd Street and I told him, you see those billboards and those big signs? I says, your name is gonna be up there one day.
My mother decided to move out. It takes 2 weeks to sell all the furniture we can in the house. Anything we can't sell, we chop it up and burn it in oil drums outside. I buy a bunch of industrial sewing machines, I buy a bunch of fabric, I hire a bunch of seamstresses, and my friends move in so that they can all pay $50 a week rent.
That first floor of the house, it looked like a factory for real.
I didn't know what I was doing. And the $100,000 is $500 left, and I'm 3 or 4 months late on the mortgage. I'm about to lose the house. I'm not delivering the clothes in time. The store's about to drop me. The competition is coming up. And my mother comes home and says, I have one last idea. Why don't we just take an ad in the newspaper? And the ad said, $1 million in orders, need financing.
A whole bunch of shady characters called, and you know, Tony Two Fingers. And it was a whole mob of people that called.
I mean, brilliant. Who would think to put out an ad in a newspaper to say, hey, I can make you money. I've got these orders I have to fulfill. Will you be in partnership with me?
We wound up hooking up with Samsung, and that was like the best move that we could have did.
The first terms would be that I would have to sell $5 million worth of clothes in 3 years to keep the deal because they were going to set up supply chains and logistics and all that. But I would end up selling $30 million worth of clothes in 3 months.
So we were already cleared of that debt, and we were just ready to rock, and we just kept going.
Around 98, we would probably hit about $350 million in sales annually. We would compete with all the major brands, even though $350 million a year in my world is not a lot if you look at the Nikes and all those people who are doing $5 and $10 billion a year. However, we were taking shelf space from them, and they were starting to now want to do things like us.
We were in Africa, we had Milan, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, France, Germany, Japan, Korea, all over.
It spoke to youth of all cultures being unified by that concept. For us, by us.
I just remember standing on that street corner and saying, this is for us, by us. I understand what you want to wear. You understand what I want to wear. And if you're wearing this across the street and I'm wearing it over here, we silently know that we all love hip hop.